April 15th, 1912, 2:18 a.m., North Atlantic, 70 feet above, black water. Margaret Molly Brown watches a 19-year-old girl climb out of Lifeboat 6 and grab the rope back to Titanic's tilting deck. The girl just gave up a seat worth $50,000 in today's money, a seat Molly paid for 3 days earlier in Southampton. The exchange lasts 11 seconds. 14 people witness it. Nobody knows the girl's real name. She vanished from every passenger list, every survivor account, every body recovery log. Molly's mink coat, worth $4,200, stays in the lifeboat, left behind deliberately. Inside the coat pocket, a first-class boarding pass. On the back, one sentence in smudged ink. "You bought my ticket, I'm buying your soul." 706 survivors pulled from the water that morning. This girl isn't one of them. What Molly discovers in that coat pocket will change how she lives the next 20 years. Southampton, April 10th, 1912. The White Star. Line ticket office smelled like coal smoke and fresh ink. Molly Brown, 45 years old, mining fortune heiress from Denver, stood at the counter buying last-minute first-class passage. 870 pounds, ticket number 1-465. She noticed the girl in the doorway, 19, maybe 20. Irish accent when she spoke to the clerk. Burgundy wool dress, worn at the collar. No luggage. Desperate eyes. The girl wasn't begging. She was watching. Molly made a decision in 3 seconds. She bought a second ticket, same price, same class, handed it across the counter. The girl's fingers trembled when she took it. She said 4 words, "I'll remember this." Molly didn't ask her name, didn't ask why she needed it. Charity starts when you stop asking why. The Titanic left Southampton that afternoon. 2,200 passengers. Molly and the girl barely spoke during the 4-day voyage. Different dining times, different decks. The girl stayed below, mostly in third-class sections, despite her first-class ticket. Molly watched her sometimes from the promenade deck. The girl walked alone, never smiled, wore the same burgundy dress every day. Every evening at 9 p.m., she stood at the stern rail, looking back at the ship's wake. Molly noticed something odd on the second day. The girl's name didn't appear on the passenger manifest. She checked twice. No Irish girl matching the description. No record of ticket 117-465 under any name except the one Molly had purchased. It was as if the girl existed in a gap between documentation and reality. People close to Molly said later she seemed troubled by this, but she didn't pursue it. Some debts you pay forward without knowing the terms. April 14th, 11:40 p.m. The iceberg hit on the starboard side. Molly was in her stateroom when the ship shuddered. No dramatic lurch, just a grinding vibration that lasted 10 seconds. She went on deck. Officers moving quickly but not panicking yet. "Women and children first." The words echoed across the boat deck. Lifeboats swinging out on davits, capacity 65. Most leaving half empty because passengers didn't believe the ship could sink. Molly found the girl near Lifeboat 6. Third-class passengers weren't supposed to be on this deck, but the barriers had come down. The crowd pushed. Officers shouted. Molly grabbed the girl's arm and pulled her toward the boat. 28 people climbed in. Quartermaster Robert Hitchens took command. The boat launched at 12:55 a.m. Molly and the girl sat side by side, their breath visible in freezing air. The ship's lights still burning. Survival is random until someone makes it personal. Lifeboat 6 descended 70 feet, ropes creaking, the boat swaying. The North Atlantic black and flat as oil. Molly sat near the stern. The girl sat beside her, silent. Above them, Titanic's upper decks emptied slowly, the bow dipping, the ship tilting forward at 5 degrees, then 10. Molly watched the girl's face. She was staring up at the lit windows, not at the lifeboats, not at the people, just the windows. Then she stood, grabbed the descent rope with both hands. Molly said, "What are you doing?" The girl turned. You bought my ticket, now I'm buying yours. She climbed hand over hand, pulling herself back up the rope toward the davits. Molly reached for her coat, the mink she'd been wearing, but the girl was already gone, disappeared into the crowd on deck. The boat touched water. Hitchens ordered them to row. Molly screamed the girl's name, except she didn't know it. The price of a seat is sometimes another person's life. The ship sank at 2:20 a.m. 1,517 people died. Molly counted heads in the lifeboat. 27 now, not 28. Dawn, April 15th. The Carpathia arrived at 4 a.m. 706 survivors pulled from 13 lifeboats. Molly searched every face on deck. No Irish girl, no burgundy dress. The crew took names. Molly checked the survivor list 3 times. Nothing. She asked 40 passengers. Nobody remembered a young Irish woman in first class. Nobody remembered her in third class either. One steward thought he'd seen someone matching the description near the boat deck, but he wasn't sure. The records showed no body recovered matching her appearance. No name, no ticket stub, no documentation at all. Molly went back to Lifeboat 6 before it was hoisted aboard. That's when she found it. Her mink coat, folded neatly on the bench seat. She hadn't been wearing it during the descent. The girl must have taken it off Molly's shoulders without her noticing. Inside the right pocket, the first-class boarding pass, ticket 17465. On the back, written in smudged black ink, "You bought my ticket. I'm buying your soul. You can't save someone who's already decided." The Carpathia reached New York on April 18th. Media frenzy at the dock, reporters everywhere. Molly gave interviews. She talked about rowing the lifeboat, about Quartermaster Hitchens, about the cold. She never mentioned the girl. That night in her hotel room, she read the message again under lamplight. The ink was fresh, written during the voyage probably, or maybe in the lifeboat before the girl climbed out. Molly asked herself questions she couldn't answer. Why give up the seat? Why return to a sinking ship? Why leave a message like that? She checked with White Star Line officials. They confirmed ticket 17465 had been purchased on April 10th in Southampton. 2 entries. One under Margaret Brown's name. One under M. Connolly. But there was no passenger named M. Connolly on the ship. No boarding record. No cabin assignment. The ticket existed. The person didn't. People close to Molly said she became obsessed. She believed the girl had planned this from the beginning. From the moment Molly handed over that ticket. Debts don't disappear. They transfer. Between 1912 and 1914, Molly hired 3 private investigators. She spent $12,000 searching for the Irish girl. They checked immigration records at Ellis Island, interviewed survivors again, contacted Irish parishes in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, searched for anyone named Connolly who'd planned to board Titanic. They found 63 Connollys. None matched. One investigator claimed a witness in Southampton remembered seeing a young Irish woman buying a ticket the same day Molly did, but the description was vague. Dark hair, young, desperate. That could describe 1,000 women. Another investigator found a Mary Connolly listed among the victims. Body never recovered. But there was no documentation proving this was the same person. Every lead ended nowhere. It was as if the girl had never existed outside those 11 seconds in Lifeboat 6. In 1914, Molly received the Carnegie Hero Medal for her actions during the disaster. 400 people attended the ceremony in Denver. Newspapers called her the unsinkable Molly Brown. She kept the boarding pass in a filing cabinet full of dead-end reports. Ghosts are just debts you can't repay. New York, 1915. A rescue photograph surfaced, taken aboard the Carpathia on the morning of April 15th. It showed survivors on deck. Molly saw it in a newspaper memorial feature. She studied every face. In the background, near the starboard rail, a blurred figure, turning away from the camera, burgundy dress, same posture as the girl, same height. Molly ordered an enlargement from the newspaper. The photo came back grainy, overexposed. The face was obscured, but the dress looked right. The problem? The girl died on Titanic. She climbed back aboard. Molly watched her disappear into the crowd. The ship sank 90 minutes later. So how could she be in a rescue photo? Unless she survived. Unless she made it to another lifeboat. Unless she deliberately hid among the survivors, avoiding documentation. Molly took the photo to a Carpathia crew member who'd processed survivors. He looked at it. Could be anyone, he said. Molly insisted. The crew member shrugged. If she wanted to disappear, she could have. We didn't check every face. We were just trying to save lives. The difference between dead and hidden is intention. Boston, 1916. Molly received an anonymous letter, postmarked from the North End. No return address. Inside, a second first-class boarding pass, ticket number 17465. Identical to the one Molly had purchased, but the name was different. Mary Connolly. Purchased April 10, 1912. Southampton. White Star Line office. Same transaction time. Same price. Molly contacted White Star Line again. They confirmed both tickets existed in their records, both purchased within 30 minutes of each other. One under Margaret Brown's account, one under Mary Connolly's. The clerk's notes indicated the Connolly ticket had been paid in cash. No forwarding address, no cabin assignment requested, just the ticket. Molly realized what happened. The girl had bought her own ticket first, then stood in the doorway and watched Molly buy a duplicate. She'd let Molly think she was saving her. Let Molly believe she was doing charity. But the girl had already secured her own passage. She'd created the debt deliberately. 2 boarding passes, same number. One became a gift, one became a message. Identity is what you choose to leave behind. Molly spent weeks reconstructing the plan. The girl wanted someone to owe her. By accepting Molly's ticket, she created a moral debt. By climbing out of the lifeboat, she forced Molly to carry that debt forever. It wasn't about survival. It was about being remembered. The girl's logic was clear. Better to be remembered as a ghost than forgotten as a survivor. 706 people lived. Their names recorded. Their stories told. But they blended into history. The girl chose a different path. She became the one person everyone would wonder about. The one Molly couldn't forget. The coat wasn't left behind accidentally. It was placed there. The message wasn't spontaneous, it was planned. Even the boarding pass, kept in Molly's pocket instead of thrown into the ocean, was calculated. The girl knew Molly would search, would spend money, would obsess. Between 1912 and 1932, Molly gave dozens of interviews about Titanic. She never mentioned the girl once. People close to her said it was the only part of that night she refused to discuss. Some people don't want to be saved. They want to be legend. Denver, 1918. Molly began writing her memoirs. She described the collision, the lifeboats, the rescue, the cold. She wrote about Quartermaster Hitchens, about rowing through the darkness, about the Carpathia's arrival at dawn. She never wrote about the girl. The manuscript went through 3 drafts. Each time Molly considered adding the story. Each time she deleted it. She told one friend, just one, about what happened. "I survived because someone chose to die," she said. The friend asked why she didn't share it publicly. Molly's answer, "Because it makes me the villain." The boarding pass stayed in her bedroom safe, next to family jewels and legal documents. She took it out sometimes, read the message, wondered if the girl had survived after all, wondered if she was living under a different name somewhere. Boston, maybe, or New York, working in a factory, married with children. Watching Molly's interviews in newspapers and smiling. Molly believed for years she'd find her. A chance encounter, a letter, a photograph. She never did. The autobiography was published in 1932, 160 pages. No mention of the exchange. You can't write the truth when it makes you the villain. The 1920s. Molly dedicated her life to Titanic survivors. She raised funds for families who'd lost breadwinners, organized memorial services, advocated for maritime safety regulations. By 1925, she'd raised over $250,000 for survivor relief. People called her a hero, a philanthropist, the unsinkable woman who turned tragedy into purpose, but friends noticed things. She never boarded another ship, traveled only by train and car, avoided the ocean entirely. In photographs from memorial events, her hand often touched her coat pocket. The same gesture, the same spot, as if checking for something. The boarding pass became her private penance. Every dollar raised, every survivor helped, every memorial attended. It was all payment on a debt to the dead, or to the living. She didn't know which. Molly understood by then what the girl had done. She'd transferred the weight of survival from herself to Molly, made Molly carry it, made her earn the seat she'd been given. The charity work wasn't altruism, it was obligation. Generosity is sometimes guilt wearing a better coat. New York, 1932. Molly Brown died at age 65. Heart failure. Her executor went through her estate. Found the boarding pass in the bedroom safe. A note attached to it in Molly's handwriting. Destroy this. The executor, a lawyer named Thomas Reed, didn't follow the instruction. He recognized the historical significance, the ticket, the message, the mystery. He donated it to the Colorado Historical Society instead. They cataloged it as Boarding Pass RMS Titanic Ticket Diwarokwa 17465 with handwritten annotation. The message preserved behind glass. You bought my ticket, I'm buying your soul. Researchers spent decades trying to identify Mary Connolly. They never did. No records, no photographs, no documentation beyond the 2 boarding passes. In 1985, when Robert Ballard's team discovered Titanic's wreckage on the ocean floor, the boarding pass went on permanent display. Molly Brown's legacy as the unsinkable was confirmed in history books, museums, films. But the girl remained anonymous, the most famous unknown passenger in maritime history. In the end, the ticket wasn't for a seat, it was for a story. The boarding pass sits in a climate-controlled case today, faded, fragile, the ink barely visible. You bought my ticket, I'm buying your soul. Visitors read it, wonder about it, ask museum staff who the girl was. Nobody knows, nobody will. 706 survivors, 1,517 dead, and one ghost who chose her own legend. Molly spent 20 years trying to repay a debt, raised a fortune for survivors, never set foot on another ship, touched her coat pocket in every photograph, kept the boarding pass locked away, died without answers. The girl, whoever she was, won. She became unforgettable, not through survival, through sacrifice, through one 11-second decision that transferred her story onto someone else. The boarding pass proves it happened. The lack of records proves it worked. Some seats cost money. Some cost everything else. The price gets paid regardless, and the debt, that never expires.